Oh, morning. I was up earlier this morning because my dog was freaking out. I don't know what heard something. It was only like 6 o'clock. Usually I get up at 7, so it wasn't too terribly early, but she started just wanting to be right next to me and wanting me to pet her. But she has some bad anxiety, so I figured it was just an anxiety attack. But then I kind of heard something, or thought I heard something on the roof. And then after just now, I went outside, and sure enough, there's a guy from a roofing company that was walking on all the roofs, going roof to roof, checking for hail damage. So I'm guessing that the apartment company hired him, but that was certainly a weird thing to walk out to. But I almost forgot to start recording just because I was trying to get to work. But I think my dog's calmer now, and she should be fine. Anyway, I just completely blanked on any ideas of what to say. I was not prepared for this. I just kind of got in the car, turned it on, I started backing out, and then I realized that I had not hit record yet, so I had to stop and hit it. But it is a nice, bright, sunny day out now. Yeah, I just completely blanked on something to say. I got to start looking for different kind of ideas, because it's hard for me to just talk about something every single time randomly. Just past the library. Got a library. My wife got herself and my daughter a library card yesterday. She said that they have a real nice library here. We've moved a couple months ago, so we haven't really had a chance to look at the town too much because we've been a little busy, but I think we're starting to kind of get a little more settled in and relaxed. You know, it's hard when you're younger and renting because you move around a lot, and moving is hard. This past time we took about a week to, I think we had about a week of overlap. No, we had 2 weeks of overlap. We spent a week just kind of cleaning up the new place and getting it ready after work, and then on the weekend my family helped us move most of our stuff. But then the next week we were gonna move a ton more. Like, we were planning on finishing up everything and then cleaning that weekend. And then we both got sick. I don't know what it was. I think it was probably COVID. We didn't get tested though. But yeah, it was just a big amount of work that we were planning on doing, and then we both got sick, and it just, we did not fully feel better for a while. And then I managed to get some stuff after work a few days that week, and then we just kind of barely got everything out in time and didn't even get time to clean it. Felt kind of bad for our last landlord, because we were very friendly with her, and she was great and was always very helpful, and I was hoping we'd be able to leave it better than we found it, but it was just not a good time for that. And then the last time that we had moved had been only about 2 years before. And we had started, well, I guess it hadn't been quite, yeah, it was 2 years before. And we had started moving, and then the day we moved, my wife got sick, and then the very next day I came down with something, and so it took us forever to unpack because we were both feeling bad. But it's weird that we have been sick both the last times we moved, but yeah, moving's difficult, and I don't want to move again really until we're ready to settle down somewhere, but it's always difficult because you want to look for a good place and, settle in somewhere, but when you're just renting, it's hard to do that because, the prices change and just everything kind of shifts. I'm really glad that my wife's able to stay home with our daughter, but it's kind of hard doing everything on a single income. Because, prices just keep going up these days, and like housing especially has been just skyrocketing since like 5 years ago. And it's had a little bit of ups and downs, but it has gone up quite a bit. But I don't know, maybe the housing market will collapse just a little bit so that we can buy a house. It's weird how all the markets work, just because, I don't fully understand all of it, but I know that just right now people are buying up houses faster than they're moving into them, it feels like. And there are not, the population has not grown that much, but housing is just still very short supply. I think it's because they're making all these big houses and or all these expensive houses too. Like, I was looking at different kind of types of houses the other day, and there's so many houses that are just ridiculously expensive for kind of what they are, and people are just starting to put more and more into making them expensive. And it's hard to just keep track of it all. Had a light turned on today, but I made it through. I'm not feeling very talkative this morning, I guess. It's hard to keep up with just discussing with myself sometimes. Maybe it's just because it's in the morning, but I feel like the start of these always goes super slow, and then by lunch I have a bit more of an idea and have a bit more energy, and then by the afternoon I'm fully aware but ready to get home, so I'm excited to get off of work, and so it kind of rises throughout the day, my energy level, but right now I am just struggling. But that happens some days, so. Oh, there's a couple new buildings going up around here. Seems like they're building a lot of new buildings these days, but I guess a lot of people are moving to this area. Population's growing quite a bit. But just keeps on building and stuff. Well, hopefully I will be a little more energetic when I come back, but for now, that is all that I got time for. Well, that was about the busiest morning I've had in a long time. I felt like I was answering an email every 5 minutes. And that made me completely forget to try and think of something to talk about. But I'm sure I'll just think of something. So, because I was thinking about last night, I tried for the first time figuring out how to record and edit and all some footage of a video game. So I think I've figured out how to get the footage right. The trouble is I have not figured out the audio yet. And so I need to get the game audio recording separately from the audio for any microphone if I want to do a voiceover. Or I could just mute the microphone and do the voice completely separately via like a recording like this. But I'm not sure because I need to make sure it lined up correctly. And that might be hard to do. So I might need to tinker a little more with it and figure out how to get it fully recording separately. I also want to start figuring out how to record and edit with a camera in real life. So that might be a good test to do as well. The software I'm using for making the videos, I think it's called DaVinci Resolve, and it works very well, but I have no idea how to use most of it. I'm pretty much just throwing the audio in and then throwing a still image on top of it right now, so I really need to learn how to use it more in order to make actual videos, but it should be something that's interesting to learn. It's very kind of interesting trying to learn so many new things at once between recording, editing, and working YouTube. And like I was thinking about uploading this podcast to Spotify, but apparently it's a very difficult process. Well, not overly difficult, but it's just a rather in-depth process to do that. And I'm probably not gonna upload to Spotify because podcasts don't really do that well on there anyway, but I definitely want to try some different things there because I don't even know what other platforms there are for podcasts, because I've only ever listened to them on Spotify and YouTube. I have not actually listened to podcasts on any other platforms. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know, I guess. But I guess there's like iTunes or Apple Podcasts, but I don't have any sort of Apple account, so it might be hard to set that up. Anyway, but yeah, I'm wanting to try some different things. I've thought about doing like because there's a game I enjoy playing. I've talked about it before, called it was Star Wars Empire at War. I don't know if I've mentioned it by name, but I've talked about it. But it's a pretty old game, but there's mods for it that keep it up to date. And so I've been playing those mods a lot because it's very fun. And I enjoy the Clone Wars era mods especially. I feel like they're real good, more modern takes on the game, even though they're still using the same engine from the original. So it's pretty amazing that they can even do all the changes they have already. And I know they're working on new versions all the time, the teams behind those mods, but I've been wanting to do those and maybe get some recordings of that game and really kind of trim them down, because it's a whole long, like, clicking around. It takes like 30 minutes to get a good battle in that game, and it's kind of like a more modern comparison might be the Total War games, where you like build up your armies and then march them around a map, and then when they meet you have a kind of more detailed battle between them, or you can auto-resolve it. But in Empire at War, there's space battles and ground battles, which are handled differently. And so the space battles can take a while, and so can the ground battles, but I don't want to just kind of rush through them. I want to do them more in depth, so I might try out, making a recording of them, and then from there, kind of trimming it down and doing a voiceover to kind of highlight some of the details, but doing a more concise version, kind of trimming down something that usually will take 100 hours, well, maybe not 100, but dozens of hours of gameplay, and turning it into a single kind of, I don't know how long that video would be, but something where I can just show highlights of the whole campaign, because usually I just sit back and play for like an hour or two when I play. Sometimes if I'm playing on a Saturday when I have nothing else to do, sometimes I'll play for like 4 hours or maybe even 6 hours with a break in between. But yeah, that I'll play a single game for like a month or more of just a single campaign, and I've gotten pretty close to finishing up one campaign that I'm working through, and so I think soon I could start a second one and maybe start recording that one, and at least have the recordings. And even if I end up not liking the idea, I will have the recordings to use later if I want. But I was thinking, I could take like, I don't know, it's probably around 30 hours of gameplay footage for a decent campaign, and kind of condensing that down into a more streamlined, maybe multiple videos, maybe one very long video. I don't know how many people are interested in that these days, because I like it, and I know that one of the channels I like watching on YouTube does some just unedited gameplay of it. He does like an hour a week or so, and those videos tend to do pretty well for him and get a few thousand or a couple tens of thousands of views. So there's at least some people out there who are interested in it, but I think I'll try it out I might do shorter videos though, maybe. Just kind of show some highlights, because there's an in-game cinematic camera that doesn't always work great, because it kind of just jumps around to random unit perspectives, and so sometimes it just does not work very good, because you end up flying with a TIE fighter or a V-wing through an asteroid field while you have like multiple Star Destroyers clashing with Separatist or Rebel ships on the other side of the battlefield, and you like just see some flashes of it. But if you do it right, it can get some very cool shots. And I can always save before battles too, and then I could that way I could go back and kind of replay a battle to get good footage. Person stopped in the middle of the road to turn right. Anyway, yeah, I think that could be something fun. I did latch onto that idea I had of kind of doing a show and tell, more or less, of my fully painted miniatures. And I think I might get out an old camera and kind of do that, which I can get HD 1080p video out of that camera, even though it's a little bit older. So I might try that. I'm not sure how well it'll work and how well the audio will be captured, but audio can't be worse than this podcast, and this is supposed to be a primarily audio format, so probably should be fine. Anyway, I'm back home now, so that's all the time we have for now. Catch back up later. Oh, so my dad stopped by and I was just helping him load some sheetrock they had stored at our place, because didn't have enough room to take it all the way back to their house. But the sheetrock is for my sister, who just got married. She and her husband are building a house out of a large shed. Kind of a large, yeah, it's supposed to be a large shed, but they're using it as a large kind of pre-built exterior, and then finishing out the interior and adding electrical, water, and all that. So yeah, they're needing that sheetrock to finish it up, but it's interesting. It's a very fun idea, definitely for a young married couple, because my wife and I were talking how that would have been a lot of fun to do when we first got married, but now that we have a dog and a kid, it's kind of like, well, we need something a little larger, and we don't really want to spend all that time making a house from something a little more rudimentary. So we're glad that we're kind of where we are so we can rent, but definitely seems like a lot of fun to build something like that yourself. I've thought about building a house as well, like getting a kind of some kind of a more prefabricated thing so that it is ready to go quicker, but you still do a bit of work for it. But you know, it saves on money, but I definitely think it's worth kind of getting all of the electrical approved and everything. Well, like, not approved, because they are going to get it approved and permitted and licensed and all that, but getting it done by somebody who's got a little more experience, because I mean, I could do a bit of everything, because growing up my dad liked to do everything at our house himself, and he grew up with his dad working on some construction, so he's got some experience in all of it, and so when we redid our kitchen, like I helped him with the tile somewhat. And when we redid our backyard, I busted up a lot of concrete and helped put down the grass. And then we would have to redo our roof every couple of years because of the hailstorms. So I'd help him with that. So I've got a little bit of experience in all those areas. Not much, but just a little bit. Enough that I feel like if I was really pressed, I could do it myself. Or if I wanted to, I could kind of follow some detailed instructions pretty well on it. But with like plumbing, I haven't done any plumbing. And then electrical, I haven't done any electrical so much. Like I've replaced a outlet. I think I remember replacing a breaker at one point, and I've helped out a little bit here and there with different electrical issues, but at different places, but I have never run any full electrical. So that's something I'm definitely not confident about. But it'd be interesting to learn. I feel like I'm just kind of going through a phase right now where I just want to learn everything that I don't already know how to do. I want to learn new things a lot. So it sounds fun to figure out all that and get it finished on your own. But it's always interesting kind of seeing different paths people take, because like my wife and I met in college and we got married when we didn't even have jobs. We had pretty much nothing when we got married, and have kind of built up from there a bit. But we had like a bed, our dressers, and my cousin gave us a dining room table at one point that we still have. And just like we've gotten little things here and there given to us by people, or bought some cheaper furniture. And then estate sales are great for getting started because they have a lot of nice furniture for pretty cheap. We actually got a really, really nice, forget what it's called, china cabinet, that's what it's called. We got a really, really nice china cabinet from an estate sale. And it was like super cheap, because they usually go for like thousands of dollars, and we got it for just a couple of $100. And then we got an old couch from a garage sale. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of nicer things you can get if you're just starting out going to that kind of thing. And family getting rid of stuff is always good. But yeah, my sister and her husband, who just got married, they've both had full-time jobs for a couple of years now. And like I don't know exactly how much school he went to, if he went to college at all, but works in kind of an oil field position, so he makes a pretty good amount of money, I think. And he's been working for a while now and has quite a bit saved up. And my sister, she was a teacher for a couple years, and so they've been able to save up, and they've got a bit more of a start compared to my wife and I when we were at that same kind of getting married point. But they have had a few more years behind them, so it's not too surprising. But it's just kind of interesting thinking about the different paths you take, you know, because I'm very happy with the path we took, because we have our daughter now are very comfortable and can just kind of enjoy life. Like, can't do anything too extravagant, but we get to just enjoy it where we are, and we're not needing for much. But I thought it could be interesting to, once we do have enough, because they kind of are both adventurous and are going on a lot of like camping trip for their honeymoon, and so I'm definitely interested in something like that one day, because it looks like a lot of fun. My wife doesn't want to go tent camping. She is not really too interested in roughing it that much. She said she needs running water available to her, but I've kind of thought I'd like to try camping a little more rough and maybe just going backpacking sometime. But those kind of things, it's going to be 20 years probably before we start doing much of that. Which, that's one thing about our path that I'm very glad of, is we started having kids early. We started having kids late compared to our parents' generation, because they all started having kids at like 21 or 20, and we were, 24, I think. Yeah. So it's not super early, but these days that is pretty early, because a lot of people I know are waiting until they're in their 30s to have kids. And I'm just thinking, I do like, it would be fun to kind of do some adventuring right now, but I'd much rather have kids when I'm young and energetic and have the energy to keep up with them and be a fun dad who can get down and play on the ground and can go do sports, versus waiting another 10 years and then being at that point where it starts being hard to do as much exercise. I guess if you stay in good shape, though, it doesn't get that hard, but I'm definitely wanting to, have kids and then be kind of done with all that by like 40, because if we can have the kids raised and out of the house by the time we're in our mid-40s, then we'll have a pretty good amount of money and be able to help them wherever we need to, and still go on lots of adventures and have a little more time when we have the funds and ability to do some of those things. These days, a lot of times people kind of look at the future and expect it to be a little worse, I think. I think there's a very pessimistic view of the future these days, because it feels like a lot of things that were expected like 30, 40 years ago, people expected what we have today to be so much more than what it is. But I think that problems are always going to exist, and it's just a gradual trend towards a better outcome is really what you should be aiming for. And there are some things like the climate crisis or more drastic things that happen that kind of do provide some existential threat that I think a lot of people are worried about. But I think that for me, I'm hopeful for the future, and I think it's going to turn out pretty good. Hopefully a lot of stuff changes, but I think that in the end, most people are kind of go in the right direction. That's all I got time for now. And welcome back to the final podcast for today. Well, for this episode. I guess if you're listening, it may not be the last for the day. It's kind of weird to think about the differences between making something and participating in something, just not just like videos or podcasts, but in every single kind of aspect. Because for this podcast, I'm just kind of doing it very quickly and spend just some time in the car recording, and then spend some time on my computer, like 15 minutes, just kind of getting it compiled, and then after it's done rendering, uploaded, and letting my computer run for about 2 hours while I do other stuff so that it can render. But yeah, probably like 3 hours about go into this, if you count the rendering time. Just man hours, about 1 hour or so a day. But you look at other things, just all the things you use, and it's weird to think some of them have a lot more time than you would expect and a lot more effort put into them, and others have way less. Because I know I have some pretty cheaply made products in my house that probably took like a grand total of 5 minutes of actual human work to put together, if even that, and others that probably took hours. And it's kind of interesting just to think about things like that, and just kind of the meaning behind things too, because we have a lot of sentimental pieces that aren't all that special on their own, but when you know more about them, you see a lot more in them. We have a few just little things in our china cabinet. We don't really keep china in there, at least not right now. I mean, we keep a few dishes that are a little nicer, but the main thing I know that's in there is some souvenirs we got from different places, and then I guess they're souvenirs as well, but some just like random things we've kind of collected. And most of the ones that are more obviously souvenirs, it's like there's this little bronze elk or deer, I think it's a elk, that we got on our honeymoon, and it was just something we got because I liked it, and it was our honeymoon, so we wanted to get some stuff to remember it. But it's also just a nice little decoration, and there's not all that much to it other than that. But then there's also there's a rock that I got, I don't remember. So there's a couple of rocks. I think the one that I'm thinking of, it's this little red rock. It's about the size to fit in the palm of your hand, but it's about twice as long as it is wide and half again as thick. But you can see striations in it of different kind of sedimentary layers, I guess, is what they are. But there's little striations, and it's very red. It's got a lot of iron in it, and it's just got a nice little stripe right through the middle with some other ones kind of above and below as well, but there's a real clear kind of darker tan stripe right through the middle. It's got a bit of a reddish tint, but not as much red as the surrounding rock. And I just like that rock a lot, and I got it just on the riverside of the Rio Grande up in Colorado while we were on vacation when I was younger. And then there's some other rocks. There's one that I got, there's some crystals. My wife and I both like crystals. We're not into like all that believing they have power or anything. I just think they're pretty rocks. And my wife's the same way. We just like them because they're pretty rocks that look shiny when you hold them up to the light. But we've collected a few different ones. There's a few different kinds of quartz, because I mean quartz is cheap, so it's easy to find and easy to buy when you're just looking for different things. But there's like this really nice kind of hexagonal, not a uniform hexagon, but like it's got, I think, 6 sides. It might have 7, but it's this long crystal about 2.5, 3 inches long and about a 1/2 inch in diameter. And it's just this long crystal that's kind of smoky black, and it looks really cool. And then there's a smaller one that's only about 1 inch or so, but it's also about 1/2 inch diameter, and it's kind of more jagged, and it's like yellowy. It's the color of honey, and it's a honey quartz. I like that one a lot too. But both of those we got, or no, the smoky crystal we got on our honeymoon. The honey quartz I got when I was on vacation with my family when I was like 17, I think. But all those souvenirs just kind of remind me of the kind of times I've had and time we've spent up in the mountains on vacation, just enjoying the scenery. And then we stopped in a shop and just got some cheap crystals just because I thought they looked nice, and they remind me of all the good times we had growing up. And I wouldn't call them adventures, but I guess that's about as close to a word as I can think of as adventures we went on. Never really went out into the wild anywhere or out on any kind of more natural lands. We always were within sight of a road almost, or if not within sight of a road, on a well-defined path. But it was always nice getting out into nature a little bit more, rather than just staying in the city or staying somewhere like that. You know, it's interesting. We kind of display those souvenirs more than, like I've said before, my family went to Disneyland every 3 years or so growing up. And my wife and I went with my parents this past year. And just all the souvenirs we got there, we keep them and we treasure them, but we don't display them as prominently. Like, we have them kind of on a shelf in our spare room as more of just like kind of decorations, kind of keepsakes. But the ones that we put out on display are the ones that aren't as designed, but are more kind of rough. The crystals, and then the handmade bronze statue. And they're more, I don't know, I just don't want to put out those kind of manufactured souvenirs as much. I like the ones, even though you still just buy them at a store for probably a little too much money while you're on vacation. It's still, there's something different about them, and about those that are from somewhere, and you can kind of feel some kind of history other than a factory line and a Disney stamp. Those make a lot more, they make a lot more memories, and kind of you want to keep them around more and show them to people. I think that's interesting, just kind of being able to associate that stuff that you have with something more specific makes it feel more valuable and worth showing. But that's all the time that we have for today. So thank you for listening, and I will talk with y'all next time.